What is up, geeks and geekettes? It's a very special edition of the Countdown City Geek Cast. My name is Ted, aka Steady. Joining me on this Oppenheimer instant reaction video is the one, the only, David Lozano.
aka David.
This is a momentous occasion. The way I feel whenever Nolan comes out with a new movie is sort of how I feel whenever Metallica does a show in town. It's like, it's a big occasion. It only happens, once every few years, but it's a spectacle every time. And this is no different, honestly. Oppenheimer, and this is going to be a non spoiler review for anybody who's wondering. We're just going to talk about our instant reaction right here. And honestly, it's a fantastic film. It's very Nolan in the sense that it's like all exposition. Nolan has this really savvy way of storytelling, his like own unique style of storytelling, and I don't know how he gets away with it because in most cases I would be absolutely bored with the amount of just like dialogue that you're just getting, but he does it in a way that is captivating, and the performances in this film are fantastic. The story is compelling, and I just could not believe the cinematography and what we kind of saw on this film. It was, promoted as this like really stylistic movie. It was going to be immersive, and he completely delivered. It was incredible, in my opinion.
Yeah, I foresee many award nominations, awards for this film. I think from every major category, from score to lead actor, supporting actor, director. Yeah, this was an epic achievement, all done in 70 millimeter IMAX, and they invented black and white IMAX for this film, which is an incredible thing. It hadn't been done before. And then we have all the stats that go along with this film of the film being the length of 11 miles. It weighed 600 pounds, and I mean it's an incredible thing that we saw. And I also learned that there was no cranes or Steadicam used in this film whatsoever. Shot 100% in IMAX. And the other thing I kind of learned was the fact that the IMAX camera on set when it's rolling, the joke is it sounds like a lawnmower. It's so loud. And it's like that's the reason why no one wants to shoot in IMAX because they haven't figured out how to control or muffle the noise, you know? So I mean yeah, it's an incredible film. Yeah, personally for me it ranks up there pretty high. I'm going to have to see it multiple times to get a definitive ranking, personal ranking for myself. But yeah, it's really good. Really good.
I tried to stay away from like watching the trailers really, because I didn't want to know what the plot was. Obviously, we know this movie is regarding Robert Oppenheimer. I'm not oblivious to that fact, but the movie just can't be only about that. And I'm happy to say it wasn't. There are multiple threads throughout this movie that we are following. And just like Christopher Nolan, he puts this plot in here that is that you're just kind of the drama and the tension is building towards, and he does that throughout the whole film. And so it's playing a lot with like flashbacks and time jumps, and most of the time, some directors don't know how to pull that off. Nolan is like the master at it because you are never wondering sort of where we are in these time jumps, and he's so good at it. He's so good at telling a clear, compelling story, and I was happily surprised with the direction and the plot that this film is surrounding. The cast is incredible, from Murphy, Robert Downey. There's like 50 people in this movie. I recognized Bernard from the Santa Claus is in here, and I was just like, "Oh my god! Ah, you didn't spot him, did you?"
Oh, okay, I know. Yeah, he gained
Ooh.
some weight for the role. Okay, yeah, that guy.
Gained some weight, and it's also been like 30 some odd years since that movie, so that probably had a little bit to do with it. All in all, I cannot wait to see like more behind the scenes featurettes about this movie, because I mean there's just so much special effects, and there's so much that they kind of put into this movie. He does this thing, and I'm going to say it's a 3-hour movie. That's not a spoiler, but the fact that it never felt like that is like incredible. And I think the way he gets away, I think how Nolan gets away with it is that the scenes are short. I mean, you are not in one set for more than like
Yeah,
30
yeah,
seconds to a minute. And I think that kind of speeds the pace of the film up to where you're not ever able to just sit back and just like kind of feel relaxed in what's happening. He pushes the pace with the quick cuts to like the next scene and the next scene. I almost feel bad for like the set designers, because you're having to design 1,000 sets in this movie and you're not using them for more than like 30 seconds to a minute, and then it's cut to the next scene, cut to the next scene. But
yeah,
I understand they reuse a lot of them, but still, I think that's probably the not the style, but it's probably the way that he gets by with making this movie feel like it's shorter and
a
keeping
fast
that
3 hours.
pace up that way. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, the scope definitely surprised me, and the multiple locations definitely surprised me. I thought we are gonna stay predominantly maybe like 70 to 80% at Los Alamos, but we're not. We're in different locations. Where it's interesting. It's we go overseas, and um, a lot of the book American Prometheus was taken from the page to the screen, and it was very surprising to see that one of the very first scenes in the film from the book. And I haven't read the book, but I have like read passages from it, and I know some of the popular parts and sections of the book, and I saw a few things from it, and I was like, okay, that's interesting. And unlike you, I've seen a lot of interviews on this, and there's one fact that Christopher Nolan stated to everyone that was cast, was the fact that he didn't want to call this movie American Prometheus. He wanted to call it Oppenheimer. He wanted to concentrate on Oppenheimer, and he wrote the script in first person, which is very odd. It's no one does that. Matt Damon talks about it all the time. He's like, I've never read a script where it was written in the first person, and that person was Oppenheimer. So instead of saying he walked across the room, it said I walked across the room. And Nolan wanted to cast all these terrific actors in support of Cillian Murphy's role in Oppenheimer. And I think casting Cillian Murphy was super inspired. And of course, Cillian Murphy is one of the actors that shows up in a lot of Nolan films. And I've loved Cillian Murphy since Sunshine, the Danny
Oof.
Boyle Sunshine. That's one of my all-time favorite films, and he was a lead in that.
Yep.
And I don't think he's ever really been a lead in any other big budget film since. I know he's like probably the lead in Peaky Blinders, right? I haven't checked that out yet, but
So
um,
good.
so yeah, he absolutely he did the thing where he you feel that he is Oppenheimer, even though you don't know who Oppenheimer is. You just know him from the cover of the book, American Prometheus, and the stuff you've seen on YouTube, newsreels, his iconic hat, the silhouette with the suit. He feels like he inhabited that person and became that person. And that's why I think he's right now, I think, the front runner for Best Actor.
He may be a front runner for best, and I would say RDJ, Robert Downey, he pulled off one hell of a performance, and he might be up there for best supporting. if you ask me. And it's a very different role for Downey.
Mhm.
Um, Honestly, you kind of took a double take when he first showed up on screen because you're like, wow, they really did a great job with the hair and makeup on him
Yeah.
to sort of age him, give him more of this sort of DC politician type look, and he was just incredible in this performance.
Yeah.
Um, all in all, I kind of expected, without knowing too much about this film, for Nolan to touch on sort of the moral compass of our lead and just in general, like, should this weapon be developed? What are the ramifications? How does mankind change with this weapon being developed? That was all expected. But to get this, I don't want to give too much, but this sort of political drama that's kind of overarching throughout this movie, that was unexpected, and it was a great surprise because it it really raises a lot of questions early on in the movie, but then you see where it goes and it pays off completely. So I'm stoked.
Yeah.
Great,
Yeah.
great film. Nolan's done it again, but why are we still surprised at this point? It's just, the man makes hits. That's all. That's all he does.
Yeah, like you said, the exploration of humanity and our moral choices that we've made, and one the probably maybe the biggest choice that we've made as a species was to unleash two atomic bombs, and it's just one of the big events in human history. And I don't think it's a spoiler to say because it's in the trailer. I think it's in several commercials. There was a chance to essentially ignite the atmosphere of the Earth and just destroy everything. And they highlight that in the film. And yeah, I mean, they didn't know. Like, theory only takes you so far until you actually do the thing. And yeah, it's an incredible film. Um, People are having trouble saying, "Yeah, I was thoroughly entertained," because it's one of those things. It's like can't really say that because it's about such a uh, it's very
A
morbid
heavy
subject
topic.
matter.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah, and it's tough to say yes, I was entertained, but the performances. I mean, you can see the quality. And I want to say this: no one's talking about this, and this is kind of making me mad.
Uh oh.
Benny Safdie's performance was ridiculously good. Like off the chart, like his accent. Oh my god, dude. It like it's giving me chills right now. It was like perfect. He's a
Yeah,
kid from New York.
yeah.
And he had like a thick like was it I don't know, was it Russian or he had an accent that he sounded like it was very very genuine and very very just straight out of a different country, man. And this kid is from like a borough in New York. And he's a director. He's a fantastic director. Directed Uncut Gems, which was another great film. And he was also a Jedi in Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Hey, that's right.
But yeah, his performance is awesome. I mean, he totally disappeared into that character he played. And no one's talking about it. No one ever mentioned it. There's so many actors in this film though. I mean,
There is.
it's kind of a who's like every time a scene switched, people you could hear people in the audience go because they recognize someone.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I recognize people's voices before we even saw their face.
Did
Um,
you?
yeah. Well,
Are you talking about that one scene where you didn't see the face for a little while and you
yes,
okay, okay, wow.
I
Okay.
did,
I
and I
haven't
was
seen a
like,
lot of his work, but he does have an iconic voice though.
yeah. So does his brother. If we're talking about the same guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, there you go. Yeah, I was like, oh, I know that. I know that sort of. What is it? It's like it's almost like a southern drawl, but his brother's from, New England area, so I don't know why he sounds like he's from the south. We both had an incredible time watching this film. We didn't even talk about just the cinematography of everything. Nolan puts so much just visual, like amazing frames in this film that a lot of them are just to stylize what Murphy's character is either haunted by or dreaming about or feeling at the time.
I really love
It's
that.
wonderful with that. And the score, I didn't check to see if this was scored by Hans Zimmer. Was it Hans?
Nope, guess again.
Ooh, it was it your boy from Mando?
It was my boy,
There you go,
Ludwig Göransson.
Ludwig. That was actually my second guess. The guy can just write incredible
Yeah,
pieces that support the scene, and they don't have to be music. Like much like Hans, he dabbled with sounds and different techniques. I wouldn't even call a lot of this music. It's just very unique sounding, instruments being played different ways, unorthodox ways. There's a couple of things that I think he borrowed from Hans from previous Nolan films, not verbatim, but you kind of hear some similarities in a few things.
yeah, like
But
the
yeah,
tension-based music
oh
leading up
yes,
to that felt kind of Hans to me.
Is anyone ever going to tell the truth about what's happening here?
oh yeah, I agree. Um, what an incredible film! Um, Highly recommend it. Go check it out, and we want to hear from you guys. When you see Oppenheimer, let us know what you guys think. You can drop your thoughts in the comments box below, or you can always message us on the contact page of our website at www.countdowncitygeeks.com. Thanks for checking out this video. Be sure to like and subscribe, and we will catch you next time. For the Countdown City Geeks, my name is Ted, aka Steady, and joining me is one, the only, David Lozano.
AKA David.
Have a good night, guys. Peace.